Tama po kayo. In fact, the Senate has already made a precedent by inviting and will probably also file a a motion come Monday for the Senate to issue an invitation. But of course, that's for the Senate to decide. Kahit na tingin namin, mahalaga ang testimony ni Justice Sereno, lalo na't interesado ang defense, ang prosecution, and maybe the senators. Hindi ko na po i-discuss yung sinabi ko kanina pong he alone. Doon lang po ako sa isang sinabi ko kanina na doesn't need a witness. Pwede bang maging partial ang isang justice sa desisyon niya? Pwede po. In fact, ang teorya ng defense is you impeach all justices or no one at all. Kasing sabi nila, collegial yun eh. So, lahat naman ng desisyon po doon collegial eh. Pero hindi. The Constitution required that each justice will be of impartiality, independence, probity. Hindi naman po pwedeng sabihin, 10 tayo nagnanakaw. Nahuli po ako, sabihin ko, ay, huwag niyo akong kasuhan, may siyam akong kasama dyan. No, it's collegial, yes. Ang issue ngayon dito is that the Chief Justice is being impeached. The other justices may be partial or impartial. It's not the issue here. If the other justices sided with him based on their innocent reading of the evidence or the Constitution, that's their issue. But the fact is, you cannot hide behind collegiality merely on the basis na marami naman na kumbinsi ako eh. Kung na-bribe ka, out for example lang, hindi ko sinasabing na-bribe Chief Justice, pag na-bribe ang isang justice out of the 10, hindi siya pwedeng magsabing, 10 naman kami nagbigay ng TRO. Pero ikaw, na-bribe po kayo kasi. You cannot claim innocence on the ground na collegial ito. So ang amin ang sinasabi, partial si Chief Justice dito. And for us, he cannot hide behind collegiality because the Constitution precisely requires that each justice will have probity, independence, competence. Otherwise, that constitutional provision requiring each justice to be of independence, impartiality, will never be triggered at all, Your Honors, please. Kasi collegial lahat yan eh. I-impeach mo lahat ng Supreme Court justices, but you cannot impeach one. So yun lang po ang punto ko po. Maraming salamat po.
Your Honor, please.
The gentleman from the defense.
I was trying to observe and analyze the representation being made by Congressman, by the public prosecutor, Your Honor. And I am inclined to believe that he is very knowledgeable of the facts involved in this case. So I would like to suggest that he take the witness stand so that we can cross-examine him. Under oath, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
He is already arguing the case. There is no resting of evidence yet. They have not closed. We have not even started, Your Honor. So he is impregnating the records of this case with unnecessary. I hope there will be lesser confusion.
Mr. President,
if I may lang, Your Honor, manifestation lang po yon.
Mr. President, let's stop.
Order. Let us.
We have already given the defense a chance to say that. That's it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's stop this, Mr. President. May I just move to strike out a statement of the minority leader concerning mga lalaki naman kami rito. It's not gender sensitive, Mr. President. So I move to strike out. This is being supported by Senator Pia Cayetano and Senator Lora.
If I said that, then I would be wrong. Ang sinabi ko po, kalalaki kong tao magiging chismoso ako. Hindi dapat ako maging chismoso. Hindi ko sinabing mga lalaki tayo.
No, you did.
Dito. Well, I'm sorry. I will submit if that's what I said, but I'm sorry. It might have been my trend of thought. Diba? I didn't mean to be gender sensitive. Ang sinasabi ko po kasi, I was talking to, before I asked these questions, I asked Senator Gingona and Senator Lacson about the executive privilege. And I was just saying, kalalaki kong tao, hindi dapat ako makinig sa mga chismis na ang mga justice ganito, ginawa ganyan. That's why I was asking that question. But I apologize to the women. I'm more of a lover than a fighter, so I will never say things that will offend the women, especially my dear sister.
Apology accepted, but I move to strike out the statement.
Let it stay. Mr. President. With due respect to the female members of the impeachment court, let it stay as a part of the manifestation of the minority floor leader.
Mr. President, may we ask the Sergeant at Arms to make an announcement?
Sergeant at arms may is directed to make the announcement.
Please all rise. All persons, hold it.
Mr. President,
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
We forgot about the witness, Mr. President. I
yes,
move
Mr.
to
President.
discharge the
Before we
witness.
adjourn, wait a minute. Before we adjourn, the witness is excused. Thank you, Madam Witness.
Ito ka, tuloy ka na. Tuloy ka na po.
Hindi yun.
Witness is discharged.
No, Mr.
Okay.
President, may
Please
I,
all rise.
Mr. President, may I request that the witnesses, we have other witnesses who are here today, that they be ordered to come back on Monday.
All witnesses who were not able to testify in this impeachment trial today must come back on Monday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
All persons are commanded to remain in their places until the Senate President and the Senators have left the session hall.
Move to adjourn until 2 o'clock in the afternoon of Monday, February 27, 2012, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved to adjourn.
Good afternoon. So, what a day it's been, day 23. The discussion went from human rights to gender sensitivity, but lots of important things were also tackled this afternoon. And joining us to look at the highlights of the day is Rappler Editor-at-Large Marites Vitug. So, ma'am, lots of other issues taken up, but of course, crucial ones. Like, what to you were the top issues for this afternoon?
I think something to look forward to is whether Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno will will agree to testify in this trial. That's going to be significant because of the February 14 resolution of the Supreme Court that the justices are not allowed to testify. I mean, they will not be subjected to any subpoena. It will be voluntary on their part. So let's see. Next week, that's something to look forward to. The other thing that's interesting today, apart from what Senator Enrile said about the nature of this impeachment trial, that it's not really a criminal trial, that there's sort of more flexible weighing of evidence. What I found interesting today is it gave us an education on the workings of the court.
Yes.
We saw how difficult it was for Secretary De Lima to say she had personal knowledge. Because in the first place, only the justices are allowed in en banc meetings. There is no staff or clerk, as Senator Lacson said. Why don't you subpoena a clerk or no such thing in the en banc meetings? It's just the 15 justices. And it's true, the internal rules say that the Chief Justice takes down notes. And his notes are the ones that are given to the clerk of court or to the public information officer who makes the announcement. So we're seeing a really very closed and secretive institution, and this impeachment trial is breaking it open and giving us a ringside view, actually.
And it's also interesting that, as you said, some of the senators seem to be knowing these pieces of information for the first time. Like Senator Lacson didn't know that, for example, in an en banc, it's just the justices. But speaking of the information that Secretary De Lima got, the personal knowledge, as you said, it was interesting because this afternoon she cited executive privilege when asked about whether or not she has sources other than the dissenting opinion. So what do you make of that statement?
It's very interesting that she sort of admitted that there was earlier information that she received, whether from a justice himself or herself or through a third party. We'll never know, or we may know eventually. But that means that there is communication between the executive and the Supreme and the judiciary. Well, it's a very Filipino culture wherein my guess is it wasn't a direct communication because it's very sensitive. The justices don't talk directly to the executive. It will show a lack of independence. It will show a too cozy relationship. Yes. They should really have distance. That's why justices don't even go to Malacanang Palace to attend functions, except in, I think, very rare occasions, like diplomatic with the vin d'honneur, that's once a year. But other than that, or maybe there are justices who take their oaths of office, so other justices go to the palace. But they have to be very sensitive about being seen or being known or being perceived as having close contacts with the executive.
So putting the testimony of Secretary De Lima to perspective, what do you think this means for Article 7, considering that the bulk of what she said was based on the dissenting opinion of Justice Sereno? How do you think what the prosecutors didn't seem to achieve through a subpoena of an actual justice, they tried to get her to say it? But what do you think, was there any additional, kumbaga, was there an added value to her being here? That because we saw the senators were very eager to ask her opinions, for example, even if she's a witness, like an ordinary witness would not be asked about her interpretations of certain procedures or the law. What do you think is the value of her testimony?
I think she just set the tone. She sort of narrated, as Enrile said, they would accept her narration of events because she was a party to the case. When she did not follow, she defied the TRO. So she set the tone, sort of a curtain raiser, but we really need it would really help us understand, and of course, make it more clear and emphatic if the Justice Sereno herself testifies, but that's still up in the air. This is going to be a first, if ever. And if you read Justice Velasco's opinion on the TRO, he did not dispute Justice Sereno's account, her timetable. What he said was he questioned Justice Sereno's disclosure of such of what happened in the court. He said that there should be confidentiality because otherwise they will be. I think Justice Abad said there will be a chilling effect on the other justices. So, but they did not. Velasco nor Abad did not say that Sereno lied. So that's very valuable, and it would also be helpful, I think, if they call Justice Velasco because he was the one who wrote the resolution which was altered by the Chief Justice.
Senator Trillanes moved to ask for written interrogatories. Of course, it's not clear to us what exactly he means, but in case it's something like the Senate sending questions to Justice Sereno, do you think that would help the case in any way, or would she in effect be repeating what she already said in her dissenting opinion?
Yeah, I don't think a written answers to questions would not be as helpful or dramatic. Remember that people want to hear, people want to see, and if it's just written questions, we could easily read her dissent. So I think the value is really for her to be physically here and take the witness stand. It's going to be a challenge for the prosecution to shape up and ask the good questions, the right questions, so that they will elicit as much information as they want.
If in case.
If in case.
So going back earlier today, of course, there was that crucial statement of Senator Enrile that this is not a criminal trial, that this is only akin to a trial, and later on in the day he was citing U.S. authors like Charles Black, and he said if you read what those authors said, they said that the quantum of evidence required is an overwhelming preponderance of evidence, or even clear and convincing evidence is actually sufficient, is enough, what he said. So what do you think this seeming change of the Senate President, what does this mean moving forward? Does that amount to ruling? Is that a new rule of the court? What do you think are the effects of that?
Yeah, I was surprised by the epiphany of Senate President Enrile. It sort of lightened the atmosphere today. It really made a sigh, heave a sigh of sort of relief that it's really what people have been saying. It's an administrative matter. I mean, to put it in the extreme, that Enrile said there is no imprisonment, no forfeiture. The only punishment is removal from office. So it really, again, sent an important message to the public, to the defense, to the prosecution. Maybe I'm guessing that part of this lightening up or being seen to be flexible and liberal, more liberal, is the public opinion.
Okay.
I just gauged by some of the opinions on the PAL ruling when he said that the PAL executive could not testify. There was negative public opinion on that. It's hard to measure, but I've just been reading editorials and some opinion columns and some in the social media. And the Inquirer had a very good editorial, and the Inquirer said that let's have wisdom. Let's have wisdom, not legalities. So I think it put the case quite well. I'm just speculating that maybe public opinion has something to do with his lightening up.
Okay, so moving to next week, it's week 7, more than a month of this, and we're hearing talk that the prosecution may wrap up their entire case for this trial. At this point, we've done Article 2, we've done, very little of Article 3, and now Article 7. Do you think what has been established so far, is it substantial? Is it something that stands?
Yeah, I think Article 2 is their strongest so far because that is really very clear that so many assets and cash were undeclared. And it's now up to the defense to explain or maybe explain how this all came to be. So I think it's very, very clear in my mind and in other people's minds that Article 2 was presented in a very convincing manner. But we still have to wait for the Senate's decision on whether to include the bank accounts.
As evidence.
But considering what happened today, there may be some, more liberality. It might be included. After all, the PS Bank president testified and confirmed the accounts. You know what? Looking back, it's just that the prosecution should have insisted on pursuing the part of Article 3, which shows that the Chief Justice reimbursed his personal expenses to the office, meaning he used public funds for personal gain, for personal uses. But they did not pursue it because of the Supreme Court order saying that the employees could no longer testify. But that only referred to adjudication or deliberations on cases, not on the financials or administrative matters. So looking back, that would have added to a better picture of the Chief Justice. But anyway, it's a lost opportunity.
Okay, so anyway, next week proves to be exciting. We'll see if this will finally end. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's enough? Like, what happens to the other articles, for example?
Yeah, I think the prosecution, that the thinking now really is to end it with Article 7. And no need to, may I quote Senator Angara, no need to prolong the agony of this nation. If you have presented your case, in the case of President Bill Clinton, just one case, just one item in the impeachment complaint. So why prolong it if they're convinced that they have presented clear evidence on Article 2?
Okay, very well said, Ma'am Marites Bitog. Let's see next week if the agony of the nation, so to speak, will still be prolonged. We now bring you the press conferences of the prosecution and defense teams.
Yung NBank. Kailangan mo magpaalam. So yung kung dati nagawa ng Senate Impeachment Court na ma-extract yung SALN in spite of the decision or circular of the Supreme Court na ipinagbabawal itong ma-release unless yung NBank mismo ay magbibigay ng permiso, naniniwala kami na kung nagawa yun ng Senado noon, ay dapat nating gawin uli po ito ngayon. There is no violation of the separation of powers. We've always been insistent that the impeachment is under Article 11 of the Philippine Constitution. It's not under the judiciary, the article of the judiciary on the executive, nor on the legislature. It is under the article on transparency and accountability. So it is much higher than that. And the separation of powers cannot be used as a principle para pigilan yung katotohanan. Naniniwala kami at mabigat yung aming pagyakap sa lakas ng determinasyon ng ating Senado na mailabas ang katotohanan. Hindi ho kami magugulat. Didesisyonan po sa Lunes ng ating Senate Impeachment Court whether it will actually issue interrogatories, whether it will go ahead with the subpoena, or whether it will issue a formal invitation. Knowing how important the testimony is. Naniniwala kami at ang aming lang pangamba ay sana hindi naman magkaroon ng press conference ang Defense Counsel. No? Baka mamaya Sunday evening, baka kung ano namang mangyari dyan, because each time there is an important caucus that takes place, Defense Counsel always manages to come up with a press conference that in effect throws a monkey wrench or tinatakot ang Senado. Naniniwala po kami na sana kung gagawin man nila uli ho yun, ay wag na nating pakinggan dito sa Senado at ituloy po natin yung ating pagtahak tungo sa katotohanan.
Dagdag sa sinabi po ni Congressman Miro, simple lang, no? ang Korte Suprema po ay pwedeng maging gabay sa paghahanap ng katotohanan dito sa isyung ito o sila rin po mismo ang magiging hadlang sa paglabas ng katotohanan?
Mag-uusap ang prosecution, but ang sa Article 7 kasi kahit sa compliance namin, si Justice Sereno ang nabanggit namin. Mas extensive kasi yung dissent niya eh. So, mas siya ang aming nilagay doon. At malamang sa Monday, it's just Justice Sereno.
Parang hindi na, kailan po niya nasabi yun? Hindi namin nadinig. At sa, anong sabi po niya? Kami ba kausap o defense? Kami, sigurado? Well, tulad ng sabi namin, nire-respeto namin yung opinion ng mga senador. Kung kami po'y parating pinapaalalahanan din po namin sila na meron po silang sinumpaan that they will be impartial and make the appropriate judgment at the right time. Ibig sabihin, we accept that this is a political process. The senators as judges will make a decision, and in fact, they will not even need to explain their decision. That's how political this process is, and we accept it. They may not even need to say what evidence they used, kung ano ang kanilang ginamit para maging pinakamatimbang na ebidensya para suportahan po yung kanilang decision. They don't need to make those explanations. But the time to make a decision or to render a judgment is not now. The time to do that is at the end of the trial. And I hope that much as we are always advised to do certain things, then I think we're also free to remind the senator judges to also hold their judgment so as not to also unduly influence and make such statements which we feel like may be interpreted as being reckless, although we know it's not. So siguro parang nakikiusap din kami at pagpapaalala sa may kanya-kanya po tayong sinumpaan. Hindi kami gumagawa ng panghusga sa depensa o sa mga senador. Sana kwan din po ay wag naman ho kaming huhusgahan ganito kaaga.
Si Chief Justice, yung certiorari sa SC, paano kung ma-convict nga, may TRO pa, parang may petition pa, hindi pa rin yun na o baka sabihin, ayoko umalis, may petition pa ako, hindi pa siya, hindi pa nadedesisyonan. Wala bang ganong foresight, sir?
Yan ang krisis na sinasabi na namin noon pa sa depensa, huwag kayo pumunta doon kasi krisis. Kasi ang mangyari niyan, kinonvict dito, tapos nag-TRO sila o nag-acquit sila doon. Yung bagong presidente, based on the basis ng impeachment court, nag-appoint na siyempre ng Chief Justice, dalawa Chief Justice natin. Ang isa, kinikilala ng Kongreso at ng Executive, yung isa, judiciary lang ang kumikilala. Tingin ko, dapat hindi na dapat pumunta doon yon. That is why it's very important that the Supreme Court does not act on the petition of the Chief Justice and rather recognize the role of the impeachment court. Either yes, kung ma-dismiss nila on the ground na, at kahit hindi na nga constitutional simple lang. Chief Justice ka namin, nagpe-petition ka sa impeachment court. Kung mag-desisyon kami dito to favor you, ang sasabihin ng buong sambayanan, walang credibility ang decision. Gusto ba ng Korte Suprema itaya ang buong institusyon nila just because of the Chief Justice? So, kasi if the moment they made the decision in favor of the Chief Justice, even I think the pro-corona people will suspect kasi kasama nyo yun So, rather than go into that, I really hope that the Supreme Court recognize, at least in this case, recognize the power and prerogative of the impeachment court.
Siguro parang panghuling gusto namin sabihin doon is para sa amin hanggang ngayon hindi pa yon bibigyan ng sapat na atensyon ng Senate Impeachment Court. Na habang nakikipag-boxing po kami dito sa Senate Impeachment Court at masigasig na ipinagtatanggol ng mga defense counsel yung karapatan ni Chief Justice dito, ay nakikipag-boxing din po sila doon sa kabilang korte sa Supreme Court. At sinasabi nila doon na bagamat dito ipinagtatanggol nila si Chief Justice, pero the very same lawyers are also in the Supreme Court saying that let us declare void ab initio lahat na nangyayari doon. To us, that is a showing of bad faith on the part of the defense na meron tayong pinagdadaanan dito, yet at the same time, meron kayong isang tinatahak na daan doon sa Supreme Court para isang tabi yung pinagdadaanan dito. And up to today, we have given our commitment. Repeatedly, the prosecution has always said na kung ano man po ang maging desisyon dito sa Senate Impeachment Court, we will accept it because that is the constitutional process. It ends here. Pero ang depensa po hanggang ngayon, pag tinanong po natin sila, kapag magkaroon ba ng conviction dito, tatanggapin nyo ba? Wala na kayong gagawin. Will you accept it? They've never answered that categorically. They will always say, tatanggapin namin yan kung ito'y base sa ebidensya, kung walang pagkuhan sa proseso. Napakarami pong pasakali. I think it's a very simple question which I think the senators need to raise already this early. In the event that the Chief Justice is convicted, and we are confident that he's going to get convicted, will that judgment be acceptable to the members of the defense or to the Chief Justice himself?
Yung sinabi ni Miro, tama yung sinabi niya at nakipag-boxing dito. Pero sa Supreme Court yata, Miro, hindi sila nakipag-boxing, nakikipagsayaw sila. Holding hands.
Okay, yes. Panghuli po. Marami pa. Pinag-uusapan pa po namin kung in terms of ano yung evidence na ipipresent po natin doon. Again, dalawa po yung factors natin. We're looking at the timetable para po mas masigurado matapos natin kaagad dito. Dahil sa tingin namin sa lahat ng ebidensya for Article 2 as well as Article 3 and Article 7 are going to be very sufficient. At pangalawa, piliin na lang po namin yung talagang in point, yung talagang pinaka-critical na usapin pagdating po dito sa conviction ni Chief Justice. Hindi po ito 8 grounds po yan. Hindi po ito best of 8 na kailangan 5 doon ay maipanalo natin para tayo manalo dito. Isa lang po ang kailangan natin out of the 8 in order to be able to win this battle. Marami pa po na nakahanda, nakalatag po. Aside from them po, meron pa po. Okay? Maraming salamat po.
Good afternoon. Joining us to give us his take of Day 23 and this week is one of the prosecutors in charge for Article 7, Bayan Muna Congressman Nery Colmenares. Welcome to Rappler, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, sir, today we had Justice Secretary Laila De Lima being discharged from the stand. Tell us what more are the plans of the prosecution for Article 7?
Well, may mga witnesses pa kami katulad ng custodians ng records na nagpapakita na in-appoint ni Vice President at the time Arroyo si Chief Justice Corona na spokesman niya, na naging Chief of Staff later as nung presidente na siya. Tapos Executive Secretary, tapos Justice, tapos Chief Justice. Para ipakita lang namin na malapit silang dalawa at may malaking utang na loob si Chief Justice Corona kay Ginang Arroyo. Yung sunod yung doktor ni Ginang Arroyo para magpapakita sa impeachment court na actually wala namang malaking urgency para bilisan mo yung TRO. Pwedeng maghintay ka ng 5 days, mag-hearing ka muna bago mo issue. Tapos yung clerk of court, of course, ng Korte Suprema para prubahan namin yung mga sinasabi kong kaninang he alone. He alone could have extended the office hours. He alone drafted the resolution. He alone approved it, the decision. Siya lang mag-isang doon. He alone could have suppressed the dissent of Justice Sereno. He alone could have informed Maidas Marquez kung anong i-announce. He alone could have marami as Chief Justice kasi very, very powerful ang Chief Justice na halos hindi ma-check ng ibang justices yung kanyang ginagawa, especially sa katulad nito mga unsigned resolutions. Of course, Justice Sereno is, we hope, matuloy siya. And, other witnesses to prove Article 7, yung 6 acts ng Article 7 na sinasabi namin, yung marami naming he alone to prove that.
So speaking of Justice Sereno, this afternoon, Senator Trillanes moved that the Senate send what he called written interrogatory, so more or less like a questionnaire type to Justice Sereno. But you said that you will actually file a motion to invite. So can you elaborate that?
Well, yung sa akin, we appreciate the ginawa ni Senator Trillanes. I mean, that's good. Sa search for truth, napaka-importante ng proposal niya. Yung sa ganang amin lang naman, if the Senate will allow, itry muna yung invitation para marinig natin ng diretsahan si Justice Sereno. Kasi ang written interrogatories, magpapadala ka ng parang sulat sa kanya with a set of questions at sasagutin niya, ipapadala niya rin dito. So, hindi talaga magkaharapan pa. So, ngayon, nasa Senado, of course, yan, kung anong plano nila. Pero sa amin lang, nag-invite na ang Senado. Si Representative Bolet Banal, in-invite nila. So, pwede rin siguro mag-invite na rin kay Justice Sereno.
On the part of the prosecution, have you had any communication with Justice Sereno in terms of preparing for the case?
Wala Actually, I consulted the legal team before. Pwede ba akong pumunta doon sa Korte Suprema? It's the right of the lawyer to talk to the prospective witness. Mahabang debate, in the end, sabi ng legal team namin, wag na, ma-misinterpret pa lang yan na parang nakikiano ka doon, papasukin mo yon, tsaka parang enemy territory kung baga ba. So sabi nila, hindi, alam naman natin yung dissent niya Anyway, pag nagsubpina siya, she will testify on her dissent, doon na tayo mag-direct sa kanya. Kasi ako naman, minsan sinasabi ni Senate President Enrile, kausapin niyo muna witness niyo bago niyo i-present. Pero may mga witnesses talagang hindi makausap ng katulad ni Justice Sereno. So, I never made that attempt so far of going to the Supreme Court.
But playing the devil's advocate, why do you think having her testify here is crucial, since it also came from the prosecution that everything that she said in her dissenting opinion is already a matter of public record?
Well, actually, that's what we believe. In fact, hindi lang naman dissenting opinion ni Justice Sereno ang ebidensya namin. Maraming yung dokumentong sinabi ko kanina, yung 4 na court records para sa amin sa prosecution, enough to convict yung 4 na records November 22 resolution, concurring opinion ni Justice Velasco, concurring opinion ni Justice Abad, at yung TRO mismo. Kaya lang, kini-question ng defense hearsay daw yun Sabi nila, hearsay kasi yun. Parang gusto ng defense, papuntahin mo siya dito para siguradong hindi hearsay. So it was the defense actually who forced us to really make sure that Sereno comes. So, sa akin, let's see if Justice Sereno, in the interest of truth and accountability, makatulong naman doon sa paghanap ng katotohanan dito. Alam ko, may constraint siya kasi may ginawang rule ang Korte Suprema na pinagbabawalan siya. Pero alam ko, mahirap na desisyon yon at hindi basta-basta. So, well, at least it's for her to decide, and we really hope she will decide in favor of coming over and testifying.
Congressman Daza mentioned the need for a waiver in case she would agree to testify or she would volunteer to testify, that a waiver needs to be secured from the Supreme Court.
Yun ang problema doon sa rules ng Korte Suprema eh. Nagsabi sila na confidential. Ngayon, ang justice, kung gusto niyang pumunta, may waiver siya, okay lang yon, decision niya yun ng justice eh. Kaya lang, humingi ka ng paalam pa sa Korte Suprema. Parang, wow. Ibig sabihin, hihingi pa si Justice Sereno ng approval ni Chief Justice Corona na pumunta dito. So, really, it's a strange rule, no? But sa akin naman, ano ang gagawin nila kay Justice Sereno? Anong gagawin ng Korte Suprema kay Justice Sereno? Well, actually, I don't even think it's the Supreme Court who will, si Chief Justice lang naman yung involved talaga dito eh, not the other justices. So I really hope na they don't even need to go through that waiver and just allow her in the interest of truth. Sabi naman ni Justice Corona punto por punto kung sasagutin o di sagutin niya. Meron naman siyang depensa later on. Let Justice Sereno testify at if his turn comes, he can also testify, or somebody else, another justice can testify on his behalf. And I think that's very important dito that sa interest naman ng katotohanan, sige, maglabasan lahat para makapagdesisyon ang Senado ng mas objective.
Sir, there is talk that this will be the last article of the prosecution, Article 7, because reportedly you're planning to cut short your presentation of witnesses and evidence. Has there anything been finalized with that regard?
Wala pa. And in fact, ako, sinasabi ko na yan noon, we decide after Article 7.
Okay.
Ibig ko sabihin, napaka-natural nun. Tingnan mo kung malakas ng ebidensya mo sa 2, of course. Malakas na sa 3, of course. Dagdagan mo pa ng Article 7. Kung tingin namin malakas na talagang ebidensya namin sa 3 at sufficient to convict, we don't want to waste the time of the Senate and the people. At siguro pagod na rin kayo dito sa Senado. Tapusin na namin. Kasi depende yan sa assessment namin, and we will decide when the proper time comes.
So, what's your timetable? By next week, perhaps, deciding?
Ako, pag kukonti lang yung objection ni Justice Cuevas, baka by 1 week, 2 weeks at the most, tapos na kami. Hindi kami definitely aabot sa lampas ng first week ng March. Hindi kami, I don't think lalampas kami. That depends on Justice Cuevas, of course, kung marami siyang objection. So far naman, konti yung objection niya sa amin. So I'm very happy na at least siguro, yung matagal ko nang sinasabi noon pa, na ang tamang proseso talaga dito, hayaan ng prosekusyon na maglahad ng ebidensya with minimum interruption. At hayaan ng defense maglahad ng ebidensya with minimum interruption also. And then let the Senate decide. Mas yun pa yung aking proposal noon pa, kaysa sa magdebate kami dito on the rules of court, which will never be used in the end. A senator will decide on the whatever basis at that's it. A decision niya, i-acquit ko eh. So anong problema mo? Prosekusyon, i-acquit ko eh. Can we go up to the Supreme Court and say, well, you violated the rules of court, Your Honor? Hindi naman pwede. So all this talk about the rules of court when we're not going to use it in the end anyway, is I think a useless debate. And secondly, there are many due process respected outside the rules of court. Hindi naman totoo yan na porket wala siya sa rules of court, wala ng due process. Napaka-arrogant naman naming mga lawyers to think that only our rules accord due process. In fact, the rules of the Senate in investigations nila dito does not even have the rules of court. So, sa akin naman, kung titingnan mo yan, ang proseso dito dapat simple lang. Kung gaano magtanggal ang Korte Suprema ng judges sa baba, ganun din dapat ang proceedings sa pagtanggal ng isang justice. Pareho lang. Pag nagtanggal sila ng justice sa baba, hindi naman criminal proceedings yan eh. In fact, administrative lang yan eh. O di magtanggal ng justice, huwag dapat umiba, pareho rin. So, kung ganun, ang sundin ni Justice Cuevas, siguro baka next week tapos na kami. kasi mabilis lang ma-present yung evidence namin.
So, na-cut down na to 1 week to go.
Well, cut down, no? Of course, preparation is important kasi kung hindi ka prepared, di talaga tatagal ka kasi maraming objection, may mali-mali. So far, so good naman kami. We're very happy. I hope tuloy-tuloy na ito na nakaprepare kami ng mabuti at hindi na mangyari yung mga previous na mga pampahaba ng mga objections.
Speaking of previous incidents, it's the end of the week. It's been quite a week for the prosecution. On Tuesday, there was that Senate President Enrile rejecting your witness, but today he seemed to be liberal and categorical about saying this is not a criminal trial, and then meron siyang mga binabanggit about the quantum of evidence that might be leaning toward what the prosecution wants. Like assessing the week for the prosecution, especially in relation to the pronouncements of Senator Enrile. What kind of a week do you think it's been for you?
Para sa amin, it's a great week. Of course, natalo kami doon sa PAL Vice President. Pero in general, nag-end yung Article 2 on a high note. Hindi talaga ako, duda na ako paano i-explain ni Chief Justice yung mga SALN. Article 3, ang hirap nun. Ang hirap ligtasan ni Chief Justice Corona yung Article 3. Final na ang decision. May sumulat sa yung lawyer. As Chief Justice, there are only 2 ways to go about it. Ibasura mo yung sulat ni Attorney Mendoza o kaya ibalik mo sa kanya with a sabihin mo, I will hold you in contempt. Bakit mo ginagawa to? Sinusulatan mo ako. Hindi. In-agenda niya yung sulat ni Attorney Mendoza at hindi lang in-agenda. Nanalo pa si Attorney Mendoza bigla, no, na reverse. So, malakas yun. Pag ikaw ay Chief Justice talaga, hindi mo gagawin yun, no? So, malakas yun. Article 7, ito. Si Ginang Arroyo, pinapabura ni Chief Justice Corona. Malakas para sa amin yung issue na yun. At tingin ko naman maraming naniniwala sa amin na yung inisyong TRO. At yun siyempre ipoprove namin sa Article 7. Hindi yun inosenteng decision ni Chief Justice na i-grant yung TRO. It was a conscious decision on his part to protect President Arroyo and give her the opportunity to escape from justice. We will try to establish that in Article 7.
Okay, thank you so much, Congressman Colmenares. Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining our... Ai Makaray.